All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good people. Bubba here. Ready to get rolling into another week, another opportunity to work safe, timely, and efficient. We're out there hustling. Tell me what you're doing this morning. Where you headed? What trade you repping? Are you out picking up your guys? Stopping by the QT or racetrack for that first cup of coffee? Are you at the shop picking up tools, supplies? You're waiting on the Home Depot to open up or the Lowe's to open up so you can pick up some material? Yeah, already on the job site. Are you a supervisor doing his paperwork this morning, getting his PTP done, his toolbox safety topic done? Check in with me and let me know what you're doing. Welcome back to Morning Bubba. We're here every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern just to say hello and get the week started outright. All right, now this week we're going to focus on something simple, something visible, and something that saves lives every day when it's done right. We see them on the jobs all the time. Guardrail systems. The typical that you saw in the introduction, it's a bunch of boards nailed together, and they should be nailed together properly, I'll say. But we've talked about fall protection, and we've talked about hazards. We talk about it all the time. And now we're talking about one of the best ways to eliminate the risk entirely. Now, a guardrail, it doesn't stop the falls. They prevent the fall from ever happening. So whether you're working on a deck, a scaffolding, an elevated platform, or around an opening, if there's a guardrail, it's there for a reason. First of all, let's do a roll call once again. Where are you headed? Where are you going this morning? What trades are you representing? And are you going to be working at heights this week? You know, the best fall protection system is the one that never lets you fall. And that's that's where we're headed today. Anyway, it's here in the southeast. I'm coming to you from the bunker in the hills of southern Appalachian in northeast Georgia. Coming to you via the Starlink satellite system. It's so far I like this. I like it. You know, before Starlink came along, there was no way I could do this live stream in the morning. And when I got it, boy, howdy. I couldn't wait. Boy, I could upload videos and I could do live streaming. And I'm really thankful to Elon Musk and his team for getting that satellite constellation up in orbit. I was so excited about Starlink that I waited over a year. I put my money down. Let them hold my money. Let them use that little bit of money to get that system up and going. And by golly, they did. And at first it was slow. Oh, well, not slow, but intermittent because they didn't have many satellites up. But nowadays, hot dog. Now it'll glitch, and probably through this live stream this morning, you might see some buffering, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. Anyway, we did talk about what we're going to be talking about today is the guardrail system. Hey, if you've got a comment or if there's another direction you'd like to see this live stream go in, please, by all means, send me a chat with a question. Send me a chat with a challenge that you might be having in your world, and we can address it right here. Either advice, or if you want me to create a safety moment here where we could talk to your crew. And I know you're just riding around going to work and all that, and you're probably not able to watch this. That's okay. Put it on the Bluetooth and play it over the radio, and we can have us a morning show just for construction workers. You pipe fitters and steam fitters and boiler makers and demolition dudes, the demolition guys, you got a soft space. You got a soft place in my heart. If you're a framer, if you're a steel hanger, you work in concrete, you pour those foundations, let me know. Tell me what your challenges are. Or tell me how you get your Monday mornings going, how you get your guys motivated, and how what you do to have a safe and timely work. I got to adjust this microphone. Y'all excuse me. Darned old microphones, I tell you what. They say that the most important thing you can do is have good sound. They say give good sound priority over everything. And if you got good audio and poor sound, it's no good at all. So I've put this together. By the way, you see the background here. I'm in the Studio B. I call this Studio B in my home. And a couple episodes back, I had a green screen up of me in a wood shop or something like that. If you go back and look at a couple of the past videos, and let me know whether you want to see this background or you'd like to see the one I had previously. I'm interested in knowing. Welcome, everybody. It's Morning Bubba. We've already started the show, and the phrase of the week is guardrails, the first line of defense. Now, guardrails are the first line of defense against falls from elevated surfaces. Now, let's kind of break that down a little bit. Guardrails are considered passive protection, meaning they don't rely on workers to act. Unlike harnesses, if you've got guardrails, there's no tying off, no adjustment, and no decision making in the moment. They're always working. Let me turn that background just a touch. Can y'all hear my latest? Really, I don't even know what I call that one. Sometimes I make this stuff up and don't even name it. But they're always working. A guardrail system always includes a top rail at 42 inches. Now, you could be plus or minus 3 inches on that according to the OSHA regs. You may have to pass under something. You may have to pass over something, piping, HVAC, I don't know. But they allow 3 inches variance on that 42-inch standard. And then there's the mid-rail. The mid-rail is the rail between the top and that 42-inch top rail and the deck or toe board. And toe boards are required. And the purpose of toe boards is to protect tools and materials from, getting kicked off the deck and hitting someone on a lower level. And these things got to be strong. Man, I've walked on job sites. I could see them blowing in the wind. That was unacceptable. They must be strong enough to withstand force because they're designed to stop you before you reach the edge. And that definition is 200 pounds downward and outward force. Now, I'm a big boy, but very seldom do I see guys fall against them. They're just a reminder that it's always there. And sometimes you can have netting on them to prevent fob or flyaway debris, uh, loose debris that's on the deck, paper, and things like that. But guardrails, they remove the exposure, and removing exposure is always the safest option. All right, good morning, everybody. Come on in the house. We having just us boys, or it could be some ladies, just us construction workers getting prepped up. We're getting wound up, getting motivated, so I'm yawning just like you guys. Getting motivated, so we're there with bells and whistles, and we're ready to go. When the management gets there, they see that we're prepped up and primed up and motivated and ready to get the day done. But anyway, the best protection isn't what saves you after the mistake. It's what keeps you from making it in the first place. And that, my friends, as far as safety and fall protection goes, is the guardrail system. And they could be designed, they could be engineered. You can buy them pre-made, or they can be job made, but you have to pay attention. And there's a whole section of how those are to be made in the OSHA 1926. And if you need a reference, you just let me know, and I'll find it and send it to you. It's got diagrams, how they're supposed to be built, and how much weight they're supposed to hold. And done right, they are the safest form of fall protection in construction. All right, let's moving along. The best protection isn't what saves you after the mistake. It's what keeps you from making it in the first place. All right, and we're going to talk about these for a little while until somebody pops in with a joke or a good morning, Scott, or a hey, Scott, you dummy. Why don't you talk about something more interesting? We work around guardrails all the time. Yes, sir, we do. But, you might, I got an itch in the ear. You might have a new guy coming on board, and he might need a little training on guardrails and fall protection systems. And I'm just here to remind you and refresh you or create questions in somebody's mind so they can ask about those methods of fall protection. And if you don't have all the answers, then you can come right here and we'll talk about it. I'm sitting here at the desk. If we need to look something up, I'll sure look something up and make sure we get it all right, and I'll give you correct references. But the main thing is we gather here and motivate one another and josh around, and I'm just filling space with a safety item because it is morning, Bubba. I'm a safety professional, demolition professional. I've been leading men in the field for now 40 years. You believe that stuff? Here it is. It is March the 23rd. Looks like we got about one more week. Oh, man. What's the day? Yeah. We got one more episode in the month of March, and then we fade into April. April showers bring May flowers. March in like a lion and out like a lamb. I've been working in the garden yesterday and a little bit the day before. No, I've been working on starting seeds and things like that. Just a personal moment since there's nobody on here. I get to talk about anything I want. But I'm getting ready for the garden season. Uh, I don't know if any of y'all out there are gardeners. I've always had some type of garden. My dad bought me my first tiller, I think, when I was 14. It was an old raggedy thing about wore out, had to keep it running. Had them front tines on it, boy. 14 years old, and you had that 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton attached to some wildly spinning front tines on a rototiller. Brother, you had your work cut out for you at 14, and I've been doing it ever since. I love it. I like working with Mother Nature because she will provide. Anyway, what are we talking about? It's 5:16 in the morning, and we'll continue on with guardrails. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about inspecting guardrails. And when I was in school many moons ago, I took a journalism class, and they said there was always 5 questions you ask: who, what, when, where, and why. So we're going to cover the who, what, when, where, and why of guardrail inspections. Well, first, let's talk about the inspection. Now, who can inspect scaffolding? And that would be, under the OSHA standard, a competent person. Now, what is a competent person? A competent person in this situation is someone who understands fall hazards and system requirements. And then what? What are we inspect? Oh, hold on a minute. I got a slide here. Look at that. Got me a slide. Who? A competent person. And what are we inspecting? Is the top rail secure? Is the mid rail in place? Are there gaps or missing sections? Is it structurally sound? Can you push on that thing with 200 pounds of force and it not move? Can you push downward on it? And there's some specific dimensions that have to be met. So if you want to know what those dimensions are, let me know and I'll get you the details. And then, when should inspection be done? Inspection before work begins, after any kind of impact, after weather events, or anytime conditions change. A few years back, had a hospital job, and this thing had about, I want to say, 5 or 6 stories of scaffolding, and it went all the way around the building. And, I had a crew coming in at 7 o'clock, and if I waited till 7 o'clock to inspect that scaffolding, them boys would not be able to start work till probably 8 o'clock at the earliest. So I was always there at 5 in the morning, and I would inspect that scaffolding for him. And anyway, scaffolding is not guardrails, but the thing is, get your inspections done before the guys get there. Even if you have to pay a guy to come in an hour earlier and walk the site and check everything out, it's well worth it in production. Is it better to pay one guy for 2 hours or an hour, 2 hours of labor, or have 15 guys and have them pay them 15 hours in labor while the guardrails are being inspected? So anyway, that's when before work, after any impact, after a weather event or any time that changes, conditions change. Let's see here. And then where? Edges, openings, platforms, scaffolds, anywhere there's a fall hazard, make sure you inspect it. If they've got guardrails there, make sure we inspect those guardrails. And why? Because a weak or missing guardrail is worse than no guardrail. It increases false confidence, and boy, ain't that the truth. If you're on elevated surfaces and those guardrails have always been there, and suppose you got that orange wind net on there, debris net, and all of a sudden there's a top rail missing and the orange net is still there, the crew is confident that that guardrail is in place, and it may not be. That's one of the purposes. It creates false confidence, that missing guardrail. So make sure, we check that. All right, here's a safety reminder. Don't trust guardrails you haven't checked. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel if you're just now tuning in. If you're watching me on a rerun, give me that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel where you can find all kinds of videos. All these live streams are have been recorded. Let me transition back to my beautiful face so I can talk to you full bore. Got the hiccups. I went to the doctor the other day. He said, my God, man, you got to lose some weight. He says, avoid foods, fatty foods. He said, fatty fatty foods. I said, what kind of foods? He said, food fatty. I said, oh, hold on a minute there, doc. I said, I want a second opinion. I don't think I'm that fat. He goes, okay, you're ugly too. Anyway, went to the doctor, and once again, fat boy is trying to watch his weight. Golly, man, the burden of being born a fat boy. It's a tradition that has been in my family for generations. I think every one of them, mama, dad, everybody on the head, sister, aunts, everybody's on the heavy side. Man, it's got to be something in the food system. Doggone it. Mr. Kennedy, figure this stuff out, man. Help us out. What are they putting in the food, or are we just passing too much food past our lips? I don't know if y'all remember the talk show lady, Dr. Laura Ingalls? Dr. Laura Ingram. Dr. Laura Ingram. She says, if it don't go past your lips, it can't go on your hips. And I think that's part of my problem. Boy, like my dad says, I've always been a two-fisted eater. Anyway, so back to the guardrails, and for the job site challenge today, talk guardrails with your crew. Have a conversation with them. Ask your crew, what is a guardrail system? Point to it and say, what is that? And then what are the components? You got your top rail, mid rail, and toe board, and the standards that hold it all together, the uprights that hold it all together. And what height does that top rail need to be? Start asking them those questions. They may not know. And why is the toe board required? You just might be surprised at the answers. And knowledge gaps and safety create exposure and conversation close those gaps. Don't assume that your guys know. That's a huge problem. Don't assume, verify. And you do that through conversation. You know, um, any type of fall protection system. But today, if you've got guardrails, talk about those guardrails in your safety meeting. If you don't have guardrails, then talk about personal fall protection systems. I've got that video coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks on the other channel. So it'll be there for you when you're ready. When you're ready. All right. Now, I need some help with you guys. I need your help. I need you guys to help me. I need some good, clean, and I know that's hard for you construction workers, but good, clean jokes. I got an AI agent, and she does a wonderful job. She tries to keep it clean. She tries to keep it related to what we're talking about. But sometimes I don't know. Anyway, so why do guardrails never get in trouble? Anybody want to guess why guardrails never get in trouble? Come on. Come on. Come on. Because they always stay within the limits. Boy, I tell you what, them guardrails are something special. They clean these glasses or make them worse. Those guardrails, they're really, really special. Stay in the limits. They don't ever get in trouble. Me, I ain't never been in trouble. How about you? You ever been in trouble? If you ain't ever been in trouble, send me a message. Send me a chat. I wanna meet you. If you ain't ever been in trouble for nothing in your world. Nothing in the world. I want to hear it. All righty. Well, that joke. Let's see. You want to try another one? Why do experienced workers lean on weak guardrails? No. I said that wrong. Beep, 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 beep. All right, let's try another one. Why don't experienced workers lean on weak guardrails? Because they prefer strong support in work and in life. I was on a job site one time. Old boy, he kicked a guardrail, and it didn't go anywhere. He says, "Yep, that'll hold." And I walked over to it. I walked over to him and I said, "Hey, man, I'm glad you tested it. That's very good. But don't test it with your life next time. What if that board would have flew off? What if it was rotted or loose and it came away? You'd have kicked yourself right over the edge of that building." So, inspection beats assumption every time. Not some of the time, but every time. But if you got a construction if you've got a construction related joke that more of us would find humorous, that's a good dad joke. Went to the barber this past week. I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, and Jerry gave me a haircut, and we got to talking, him and Hall, joking around, and he says, "Yeah, man, there's a little boy comes in here about 5 years old, and he tells me a joke every day. Every time he comes in, he's got a joke." I said, "That sounds like my grandson, Braxton." He goes, "Braxton, you know Braxton?" I said, "He's my grandson." "You know Zach?" I said, "Well, he's my son-in-law, and Braxton is my..." He goes, "That is the funniest little boy." I asked him, I said, "You reckon I had any influence with him?" He says, "I'd guess so." But anyway, I'm so proud of him. He's a smart little boy. he came over the other day, and his nana was like, "Something's wrong with him." I said, "He's growing up. He's got more patience. He's got more, a longer, um, what do you call it? A longer attention span. He's learning different stuff. He's getting to be a little boy." And she got that sad look on her face. She can't believe that baby's growing up. Oh, shoot, man. Anyway, I got an old tractor down here. Couldn't get him on the thing. He was scared of it. I'd started up, and he'd just back off. He was on it. And we were down there this weekend. He spent the night Friday. And Saturday, him and his nana was going to the Wally World and to the Home Depot and running around doing that grandma and grandson thing. And, of course, I wasn't invited. And so they was down there, and I came down in the shop and checked on them. And he wandered over that tractor and sat on the step, the side step. I said, "Get up there." I didn't say nothing. Nodded approval and grinned at him and let him know it was okay if he explored a little bit. I said, "Get up there and just see." His nana says, "He don't need to be climbing on." I said, "Boy, get up there if you want to climb on that thing, go ahead." And he said, "I don't want to." And he got off, and then he got back on that, sat down on that side step, and before you know it, he's behind the wheel, and I was showing him which pedal did what. Won't be long. I told him I couldn't wait to get me a good 10 or 12-year-old boy around here to do some work. He says, "Well, my sister," and he's expecting a sister. And he says, "Well, my sister will be that age one day." His nana goes, "He's not talking about her. He's talking about you." He got that face lit up. He says, "Man, it won't be long then, will it?" Anyway, we are moving along enough about that family stuff. Family's important, though, and I want you to know that I do have family. I love them. They may not love me as much, being who I am. My wife, in public, and somebody will mention my sense of humor, and she goes, "Yeah, it's funny for a little while." Anyway, I had some questions here this past week. And, and it's especially from foremen and supervisors because they're worrying about cost and production. And it says, "Are guardrails better than a harness system?" And I knew where we're going. It costs money and time and labor. You got to buy material and spend labor to build those guardrails. And from their perspective, hell, just have the guys tie off. And I said, guardrails are better if they can be used because they remove the hazard instead of relying on reaction. Hey, you need to think about that. The biggest cost to a company is risk, unidentified, or risk exposure not taken seriously. And when somebody gets hurt, that's a big dadgum deal. I don't care what anybody says. That's a big deal. Somebody gets hurt, that's going to cost. And with the guardrail system, you remove a certain amount of somebody having to reliably picking a proper anchor point, properly wearing their fall protection gear. So it increases productivity. I don't know if you've ever had to work with a harness on, but the daggum things are cumbersome. Whereas if you could work with a guardrail system, it's far easier and you're far more productive. So, yes, because they remove the hazard instead of relying on reaction. I had another comment that people trust guardrails without ever looking at them, and that's exactly the problem. Uh, Trust should be earned even by a safety system. That's why it's so important that you have that competent person uh, make their rounds and inspect that equipment. Yeah, it takes time, but overall, in the overall scheme of things, when you're striving for safe, timely, and efficient, that's where it shows up the most. So take that time, inspect that equipment. I don't care what it is. If you're using a welder, inspect it. I had to do that in my track the other day. I was low on hydraulic. That reminds me, I got to service a lot. Let me write down something, boys and girls. Excuse me. Man, I just had something occur to me. Coming in the grass season, my old lawnmower started running rough last season. And I need to get a tune-up kit for my lawnmower. Not only that, I got on that tractor yesterday. Spent about 4 hours on it. And I should have serviced that thing before I did it, but I had some work it needed to get done. So I need to check service on that little old Kubota. Y'all don't mind me writing down this information, do you? Service Kubota. I'll tell you what, I bought that Kubota about, 7 years ago. It ain't got but a couple hundred hours on it, but I tell you what, if I'd had to pay out that 200 hours of tractor work, that little old tractor has just about paid for itself. Everything from pushing falling down trees out of the driveway into the side yard, and built a garden bed out here, hauling stone, cutting the driveway and working the driveway. I got I think 7/10 of a mile of a gravel driveway. Now it's a shared driveway with four other families. And man, you pay somebody to come out here, you're talking about $2,000. And for the past 3 or 4 years, I've gotten out there on the tractor and done that work and saved the little community on this hillside a lot of money. And so it gives me something to do. Keeps me entertained. Yeah, keeps me entertained. Exactly right. Keeps me from driving my wife crazy. Anyway, don't ever trust the guardrail. I mean, trust them, but make sure you inspect them. Supervisors, foremen, make sure you either appoint someone who's competent or do it yourself if you're competent to inspect those guardrails. Same with anything else. Same with the scaffolding. I talked earlier about that scaffolding that I had to inspect on a daily basis, and I did it before anybody got there. And they was wondering why I was sweating. They show up at 6:30, 6:45, and I'm just coming off the scaffolding, and I'm pouring sweat because I walked about 5 miles that morning. And they're looking at me like, what are you doing wrong? And I said, well, somebody's got to do it. So that was being part of the team. And I didn't mind doing it. That was an interesting job. If you want to know about that job, I had to cut down a concrete structure one time, and that was part of it. Anyway, moving along, it is 5:39 in the morning. Can you believe we've been together for 39 minutes? Let's see. Changing things up. I call this tools and tricks, but it's always something that I want to talk about that we should be doing not only as construction professionals, but also in our personal lives. And today's tools and tricks is demonstrating your values through your actions. So let's talk about values. There's easy values and hard values. If you say, I don't eat poop, well, that's an easy value, ain't it? Nobody wants to eat poop. I can't think of anybody anyway. I probably wouldn't know about it. But anyway, those are easy values. Anyone can say, safety, yeah, boss, safety matters. That's safety's first. Safety's number one. Safety first, boss. Safety first. They wear the t-shirts and say the logos, but are they proven? Do they hold those values? The guy who says safety first, is he taking risk? Is he doing risky behavior on the job? Is he not being tied off when he should be? Is he walking past a damaged top rail on a guardrail system? Is he walking past a missing top rail in a scaffolding system, or a loose stair, or a loose tie back and not saying anything? So what are the values? Anyone can say they care, but values are proven in certain conditions. When you're tired and you're ready to go home, it's lunchtime. You're ready to go to lunch. You're hungry, and you walk past the hazard. Do you stop and correct it? Do you notify somebody of it, or do you say, screw it, and keep on going, hoping somebody else will take care of it? Ask yourself. Or when you're behind schedule, I don't worry about that right now. Just keep moving. It'll be all right. Anybody ever heard all that? Or when you're in the back side of the building and you're hanging HVAC and you're on that rolling scaffold and you're pulling yourself down the aisle there, no one's watching. No one's watching. Right? What's your value then? Do you check the guardrail? Even when nobody's watching? You're hungry, man. You're ready to get down from there. Is that what you want to do? Do you speak up? Do you still do it right? Your actions tell the truth. Your words never can. And that goes for not only when you're at work, but that also goes for your home life. Do you help your wife do the dishes? A man should help his wife. Do you show up at your kid's soccer match? Do you throw in and help out, bring in water, and keep an eye on them, help coach them, help motivate them? Do you do those things, or just say those things that you should do? Anyway, your actions tell the truth. Your words never can. And from my perspective, being a man, you got to. And my wife has learned me. She knows me pretty good. The grandkids will be here, and I say, hey, you want to go do this? And they'll kind of brush over it, not wanting to give an answer. And she'll go, he'll only ask you one time, or he'll go do it by himself. And so, is that right and wrong? I don't know. But they know who I am, and they know how I'll do things. If I say that I'll do it, by God, I'm going to do it. Or have somebody else hire a guy. It's going to get done, okay? It's going to get done. I'll get your car. That don't mean I'll get in there and turn a wrench, but that means I'll see to it that it's done. So, anyway, Keep that in mind. Easy values don't count, and demonstrate your values through your actions. All right. You've seen those guys. I done. I know a lot of people, they go, man, every time I say something, he's got a story related to it. Yeah, I do. Now, I've been bumping around out here for 64 years. Been places I shouldn't have been, done things I shouldn't have done. Yes, sir. Done. Shouldn't have. Did it anyway. Knew better, did it anyway. Anyway, here's a trade wisdom quote. And I asked Pluriforia to go out there and use her vast knowledge base on construction related wisdom. And she came up with this. The job will remember how you did it long after you forget. Do you provide quality? Do you do it safely? And are you a person of integrity? They leave a mark one way or another. Choose the right one. And that's kind of related to what we were talking about. Be that person. If you say you're going to be there at a certain time, man, you know what? Be there. That's all there is to it. Don't say you will if you won't. Don't say that you're going to be there when you know good and well you've already promised Aunt Marge to take her to the minute market to get her scratch off. Don't tell them you're going to be there and then not show up, because that's you. That's you, and that's how people will remember you. They're not going to remember you how you tell them you want them to remember you. They're going to remember you through your actions, your words, and the deeds you do. Keep that in mind. Give me your comment. Tell me what you think about. Tell me what you think about that. What your virtuous are. How virtuous. What kind of virtues, what kind of values do you have? And tell me how you express those values. Or tell me a story about a guy that you kind of thought he was good and you liked him, but he always let you down. Here's a good value for you. You know, I had this guy and he did a good job on the site. He did a good job. I was thinking about, giving him a foreman position or something like that. And he is in a rough spot. You know how it is. His car was broke down, or his wife needed a car, or something along those lines, and he wanted a ride. Well, you were gracious enough to volunteer to give him a ride. And every time you gave him a ride, you'd pull up to his house at the appointed time, and the lights were still off in the darn house. And you'd sit there, man, you'd call him, you didn't get no answer, call him again, didn't get no answer, call him again, the lights would pop on, you'd see people rushing around, and 15 minutes later, he was sitting down ready to go. I always believe in giving people chances. So another time he needed a ride, and same thing, same behavior. And the third time I pulled up, same thing. And after 10 minutes, I drove off. He called me, "Hey man, why'd you leave me?" I said, "What time was I supposed to pick you up?" He said, 5 o'clock. I said, "What time did you get up?" He said, "Well, it was a little after 5. I said, "And I was sitting in your driveway. I got up, made an effort to be at your house to get you to work, and that's the way you treat me and my time." And he couldn't understand it. And he missed a day of work. And he started asking another guy, and he said, "Man, he's ready to go when I got there." And I said, "Well, that's good. That's good." Okay. So don't only value your time and place and space, value the time and space of others in this world, this universe. Make sure you put respect for the guy who's giving you a helping hand, man. You gave him a job and went to pick him up, and he was like, "Oh, I drove my old lady." I said, "I don't care about that. Your old lady. I ain't giving your wife a ride to work. I'm giving you a ride to work." Anywho, this week on the channel, we've talked about it, but I'm going to delve into it just a little bit deeper on guardrails this week. If you look right there, Toolbox Safety Topic Videos, and there's the channel you can find them at. Man, I looked the other day, and there's 224 or 25 videos on there right now. All of them, there's some repeat. I think it's important, and I'll repeat it, or a company say, "Hey, will you make me a video on this?" And I'll do it. So, but anyway, if you go there, you'll find at least 2 or 3 videos on certain safety. But this week I did a new one, guardrails, how they protect you. This week on the channel, we're breaking down guardrail systems as part of a series I'm doing. It's actually, I'm actually working on a 12-part series on fall protection, which is applicable to the prerequisite of the OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 training. So anyway, check that out. Anyway, we'll cover the components of a proper system, the OSHA requirements, when guardrails are required, common failures, and mistakes. Now, guardrails are simple, but only when they're done right. And when they're done right, they save lives every day in the construction industry. All right, well, man, look at this. It is 5:52 in the morning. What y'all got going today? I'm not on a job site today, but I got to go take off the trash. I'll probably go for a walk. Go to the bank. Golly, go to the Home Depot, the Ace Hardware, and get a broad fork. This is my second year of doing no-till. Last year I was kind of disappointed in production crop yields in the garden, but I got to talking to others, and nobody had much luck. It was a rainy year, and it never got very warm, so it was a rainy, cool year for vegetables. I had enough to enjoy the fruits of my labor, but I've got a lot going on. Take off the trash, go for a walk, go to Home Depot, pick up parts for tuning up the old lawnmower, pay a couple of obligations, and go back to, you guys could do this. A company called Chip Drop, and if there's an arborist in your area doing arbor work, where they have that big veneer where it chips up the wood and throws it in the back of a truck. Well, they're always looking for people who want those wood chips so that they don't have to drive to a landfill and pay the cost to dump. Whereas homeowners and property owners, they use them for mulching, and for me, I use them for mulching, erosion control, building things up. and they'll bring them and dump them. And I get 2 or 3 loads every year, and I just keep piling it in certain places. And over time, it really does a good job. So I started yesterday, worked about 4 hours on this huge um, mound of wood chips they brought, and I'm using it for some erosion control and some fill and stuff like that. And then I put some of it to the side and let it age for a year or two, and then that I've got some good compost for the gardens and things like that. So if you're into gardening, keep that company in mind. Shout out to Chip Drop. I don't have their information right here in front of me, but Chip Drop. If you need wood chips for your landscape, for your gardening, for your mulching your beds and all that, give them a call. I use them. I don't see why you shouldn't if you do that kind of thing. You can share them with your neighbors. Get if you got another 2 or 3 neighbors around you who like to do landscaping and always going to the. Now it ain't got colors in it. You can't get it in blue and black and red, but you can get it in wood. And if you and your neighbors are constantly going to the Home Depot and buying bags of mulch, and if you're willing to take just plain wood-colored mulch, then this might be the deal for you. I don't know how much you spend. I don't even know how much it costs. It's been that long since I bought it. But anyway, that's what I got going on this morning. It's time to conclude this thing. As we wrap up this morning, remember this. Fall protection isn't complicated, but it is critical. Guardrails, awareness, integrity. Check the systems, have the conversations, hold the line, and keep it safe, timely, and efficient. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you spending the time to watch this live stream. And if you catch it on the rerun, I appreciate that too. And finally, that I always close out with, I wish each and every one of you have a grateful day. And I'll see you next time. And Bubba is out.